That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio this morning is DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker. Gee, Manise. we were talking about Chief Bross, then we're talking about Chief Meister, then we're talking about Sheriff Vogelzang, and I just lost where I was at here. I lost where I was at this morning. Forgive me for that. How you doing? You doing all right?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing well.
Good. We were talking before we got started, Sheriff, and I was surprised to learn. I was telling you I was at the county building last Thursday for the county board meeting, and I went through the security system, right? And I was a little surprised because I was like, wait a minute, I thought they didn't have a security system. I didn't say anything. I didn't think anything of it. I just figured it was the old one that wasn't working. And then you tell me this morning that that's the new system.
Yeah, we were pleasantly surprised. Of course, when I went to the county board, and
can I have you turn that mic up just a pin? There you go. Thank you.
We went to the county board and explained the situation with our old machine and what had happened. The quote, when I received the quote from the salesman, they estimated delivery time between 90 and 120 days. So I was pleasantly surprised on February 4th when I got a call from the company saying that it was going to be delivered on February 9th and installed on the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had a little bit of delay. It didn't get here till the 11th and got installed on the 13th, and we got it going and had some training done on it, and it's working really well. A lot of great technology there.
Like what?
Well, for example, when they were doing the training, the guy who installed it, he put a backpack in there, and he had a small folding knife. He stuck that in the backpack, and when he sent it through, it has some AI technology on there. If it sees something that it feels as a weapon, it will put a red box around that and also tell you the percentage of what it thinks that it is. So like when he sent that through, it came up and said 90% knife. When we put a firearm through and it circled it, not only did it put the red box around it, but it also put a red box around the magazine within the firearm and said 100% firearm, and then circled the magazine inside the firearm and said like 90% ammunition.
Really?
So,
wow.
It's given, it's heads and tails above what we had because, like I said, the old machine, X-ray machine, had been in service since 1997 and had not been supported since 2011. So there's a lot of things we can do with that. It gives our people, a little bit of more, sense of, they're more sure of themselves and when they're looking at things because it's going to be telling them, hey, this could be this or this could be that, and they can pull a bag out and search it and know what they're possibly looking for.
Sure. Any other nice features, whether it makes that process of screening folks as they're coming in quicker or anything else?
One thing, it does make it a little bit quicker because, like I said, if with the old machine you had two screens up there and it was basically just a color coded thing, showed whether it was organic, non-organic, or a lot of different things. You had to push different buttons to see different views. So with this, you put that through there with the AI technology that it has. One swipe through there, one view, and you're getting all the information you need. One thing that this, like I told the board, our metal detector is currently in good operating condition, but if we have to replace that in the future, the metal detector can sync with the X-ray machine, and then it will, if you walk through there and the metal detector goes off, it will show on the screen where the metal is on your body. So if you got something metal in a shirt pocket, it's going to show that it's in the shirt. If it's in your ankle, it's going to show there. So again, it's something that will make it a little bit easier. Not something we're in the process of doing yet. Like I said, our metal detector is working fine, but in the future, that's something that when we do have to replace that, we can look at, make sure we get the type that will sync with the X-ray machine.
Do you have many issues of people coming in with things they shouldn't?
No, we're pretty fortunate. Most people come in, if they do come in with a knife or something along that lines, we ask them to take it back to their vehicle because we used to years ago would give them a ticket and hold either their knife or their phone. And we stopped doing that several years ago, just simply because people were leaving them and forgetting them. And we stopped doing it with phones.
Became a lost and found issue.
Yeah, and we stopped doing it with phones because some surrounding counties were having some issues where somebody would bring a phone in. It might have a cracked screen, and they'd hand it to them. They would give them a ticket, and when they came back and picked it up, they'd say, "Hey, that screen wasn't cracked before. You guys broke my phone." And there's then you get in the whole mess. Okay, we didn't, but how are we going to prove it? Type of thing. And then fortunately, it never happened to us. But there were some other counties that had to pay for phones or screens and repair, that type of thing.
Makes sense. Sure. Very good. Well, that's good news. That is
it's great news, because it put us in a position where our officers were having to, our court security officers were having to put gloves on and physically go through backpacks, purses, things like that. You never like to do that, because somebody could have something valuable in there. You'd accidentally drop it or knock it out. It gets lost, then causes issues.
What about like detection of drugs and things like that on a person, or do you even worry about that?
That's something that we really haven't had a problem with.
Okay.
But that was a concern when we didn't have the X-ray machine, because if you get somebody that could be a drug user, and that maybe they were carrying some drugs in their purse or their backpack or whatever, and there was some residue, with fentanyl and some other things that we do see, if even though they had gloves on, if an officer would have searched that and got that substance on their hands, and then maybe scratch their nose or something later, it could have caused an exposure. And we actually made sure that we had some extra Narcan up there, just in case we had one of those issues.
Gotcha. Very good. Remind us what the cost on this machine was, and some of the things that came with that purchase and all that.
It was $34,700.
Yeah.
So quite a expensive purchase, but if we get last one lasted almost 30 years. So you look at that, break it down, that's $1,000 a year if we can get 30 years out of this one. So hopefully we can. And we all know that things aren't built like they used to be. So we may not, but I expect it to last quite a long time.
Very good. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker in studio with us here for this morning. I had your good buddy Sheriff Vogelzang on. Gosh, he just works so hard. He's always in the office, and never takes vacation. Sheriff, I think he's there after hours even these days.
Seth, I'm going to tell you, I'm glad you're not Pinocchio, because if you were Pinocchio, my eye would have been put out. That guy. I'll call him and I'll hear the waves in the background or something like that. It's a running joke. It seems like anytime one of us call the other, we're gone somewhere, but we're both in the office, probably more than we should be. But I got to spend some time with him and a lot of other sheriffs a couple weeks ago at the sheriff's conference.
How was that?
It was very, very good training. We had two great presenters. One was Jason Schechterly. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's got a great story. He was a Phoenix police officer who was en route to a call, and he stopped at a red light for the intersection to clear, and he got rear-ended by a taxi going 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he was in a Ford Crown Victoria, which had a problem with rear-end collisions, the gas tanks getting punctured, and the vehicle caught on fire. He suffered 4th-degree burns over 40% of his body, and he survived.
Really?
So he had a really good story there. And then we also had the Boston PD chief that was responsible for security at the Boston Marathon when they had the explosion there. So very, very good training and very good connections with other sheriffs. And I attended my first executive board committee meeting. So I got sworn in as a member of the executive committee for the Sheriff's Association. So very honored to be able to represent DeWitt County and the central zone of the ISA on that committee.
Now, with that conference, is it more than just like those testimonies and those stories? Are there like breakout sessions?
Training? Those are both of those are like either 4 and 6 hour training. So it's
okay.
It's just not stories. It's there's a purpose behind it.
I see.
For the training purpose of it. And the sheriffs were required to have 20 hours of continual education a year. So a lot of sheriffs get that at our summer and winter conferences. I do a lot of the Training and Standard Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board in Illinois has online services. I get on and do a lot of that training. So, you know, get over 100 hours of training a year just because it's convenient to be able to sit at your desk and do those things. But
anything you took away from those two speakers and what they had to say and offer?
yeah, you know, I mean, really with Jason Schechterly, it was just, you know, the perseverance and resilience that, you know, he, even though he, you know, that happened to him in March and they put him in a medically induced coma and he was in that coma until June. But he came back, he worked hard, and he was able to go back to work as a detective with the Phoenix Police Department.
Okay.
And at first he wasn't able to carry a weapon because he couldn't, you know, his hands were messed up from the fire, but he was able to do that, and he came back and worked, and he eventually had to retire due to his injuries. But it's just a message that, you know, if you put your mind to it and do the things that you need to do, you can get back to where you need to be. So,
yeah. What about the Boston Police Chief?
the Boston Police Chief, it was basically, you know, making sure you're doing what you're doing and have a plan. They had a plan. They rehearsed that plan, and you know, his message, part of his message was that if you have a plan and plan for these things in these big events, when that happened, he had people who were sergeants and patrolmen that were right there, and they were able to make decisions because they had that plan. And as the chief, it took it off some of those things off his plate because he knew he had capable people making decisions, making calls to get you know, get ambulances in there, get fire trucks in there. So he was able to go and do other things. So you know, that's the thing, is it's all about planning, and you know, when you have these big events, you got to make a plan and be ready for the unexpected. And unfortunately, you know, terrible things do happen, and you're not going to. All the planning in the world is not going to stop an evil person from doing evil.
Right.
And
right. I remember you said one time, if you can think it, it can happen.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's the Gordon Graham thing. It's if it's predictable, it's preventable. So we got to plan for those things and be able to practice that plan. You know, that's something that I've said it before. We are very fortunate in DeWitt County because we have the nuclear power plant here, which allows us every 2 years, we have a drill, which gets all the players in the room, and that plan that we use for the nuclear incident at the power plant can be adjusted and be used for a natural disaster, you know, a tornado, a major fire, or any kind of major incident, because we're used to meeting in there, and we got to place people in place. And Will Pavlak at EMA does a great job here. He has you know, does some other trainings for things throughout the year, and I feel that DeWitt County is very well prepared just because of the things that we're doing prior to any incidents ever happening.
Well, and I also think of events like Apple and Pork Festival. I don't know if that maybe falls more on the police department, but you know, it's a big event where you've got a lot of people in an open space.
The Apple and Pork event, it happens inside in the city limits, and all the flea market that's north of the covered bridge, that is technically in the county. So we all work together, and you know, EMA's there, we're there. The police department's there, fire departments, ambulance. We got all kinds of resources right there on the grounds, ready to respond to anything that could possibly happen.
Very good. Well, on that note, Sheriff, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take a break. Come back with some more. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker in studio with us. More to come with the Sheriff on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Wednesday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. A steady start for corn and beans and wheat, opening lower. March corn 4.27 1/4, down 1/2 penny. May corn up 1/2 penny, 4.39. And new crop December 4.63 1/2, down 1/4. March beans starting the day 11.39 3/4, up 1/4. May beans up 1/2 penny, 11.55 3/4. And new crop November 11.20 3/4, down 1/2 penny. March Chicago wheat 5.63 3/4, down 3 3/4. May wheat down to nickel, 5.68 1/4. July wheat 5.77, down 5 1/4. March KC wheat 5.50 1/4, down 4. March bean meal 3.1260, up $1.90. March bean oil 59.79, down 24 cents. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
This is Inside Ag.
It's time to celebrate winter. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have extra savings on all new Chevrolets this month to celebrate the winter season. See our inventory of Chevrolet Trailblazers, Blazers, and the efficient tracks. We also have a good selection of our 7-passenger Chevrolet Traverse and Tahoes. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. See our winter celebration savings at bombchevybuick.com right from the start.
The Illinois Corn Checkoff is proud to support Illinois FFA, providing meaningful experiences to apply their agricultural education in ways that impact our industry. From meetings with high-ranking officials to the vehicles that get them from point A to point B, the Corn Checkoff is investing in our future. Learn more about our strategic work to grow the next generation at ilcorn.org. That's ilcorn.org.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker in studio with us. And Sheriff, I brought up the connection to Sheriff Vogelsang in Piatt County because I had him on the show a few weeks ago. One thing he mentioned was his department made the jump into a drone program. He talked about he was a little hesitant to make that jump, and I was listening to his testimony on it, and I thought, well, Sheriff Walker's been at this for some time now.
Well, you know,
he sees what you're doing,
he
and
does. I mean, he's got to be watching me. What is it they say? Imitation is
the sincerest form of flattery. Yeah,
so
sure.
Hey,
He's just doing what you're doing,
he
basically.
He is. No, but yeah, we've had when we got our drone, and actually we got 2 of them. We got a big one and that we can use outside for big searches and things, and we got a small one that we can use for buildings. And I currently have 2 drone pilots, my chief deputy and my detective. I got another guy that's in the process of doing that. But when we first got that, I think it was almost $15,000-$16,000. And it's like, we knew that we had the need for it, but we really weren't sure how much we were going to use it. But we have used it more than I thought we would. We've used it for 2 incidents now, looking for someone who went missing.
Mm-hmm.
The drone didn't locate him. One guy, he'd been gone for several hours before we got the report. So he actually was at Bucks Road. He ended up in Hayworth. We located him in Hayworth, several hours later. And then we had a 14-year-old boy went walking away from his home, and we used it to try to locate him. We were able to see some tracks in the snow with the drone that helped. But he was located at a house, a few miles from his house. So, but we've also used it with vehicle accidents. I know, when we've had some fatal accidents, we've used it to make sure there wasn't anybody else in the vehicle. We had an accident out on Route 10 that the vehicle was located in the middle of a field and there was nobody around it. So something that would have taken, getting people out there and actually walk the fields and look for that. We were able to get that drone up, and we covered all the surrounding fields on Route 10 from Hallsville to the county line in, a matter of, probably a half hour time we got the call and got out there. So, which is something that, if you have people walking through there in the dark, it's very easy to miss somebody. So with the infrared to heat sensing technology of our drone, we're able to find a lot of things. See a lot of animals at night when you're doing that. One that is so sensitive that we had a fatal accident out in Kinney where a person hit a tree, and we took it up just to make sure there wasn't no one else in the vehicle that could have got thrown from the vehicle. And about 75 feet away from the vehicle, we saw a small, picked up a small sensor of heat. Well, and this was probably half hour, 45 minutes later. It was one of the headlights that got knocked out of the car. It was laying there that still was emitting a little bit of heat, and our drone was able to pick that up.
Really?
So,
wow.
In weather like this where it's cold, if we have somebody that walks away, an elderly person with dementia or a young child, if we can get out there and get that up, and they're still warm, we can find them relatively quickly.
Yeah. So this has been pretty beneficial for your department then.
Yeah. And the other thing that we've done is we got some software for it, an app that we can put in there that, if the person was wearing a piece of red clothing, we can put in there that color of clothing, then that will search for that color. So not only heat, but, other things that will help us locate individuals. And it has a speaker on it. So if we got a little kid, we can talk to them through that speaker and say, hey, okay, we see you, please, stay where you're at. Somebody's going to be coming to look for you. So, a lot of times you get a little kid, if they wander off into a cornfield or something and they hear something coming towards them, it might scare them and they may go deeper. They may think it's an animal or something along those lines. They may go deeper in the cornfield and make it harder to find them. So fortunately with the drone, we can continue to follow them, and it's just amazing the technology that we have with those drones.
Yeah, and it may just be because of their proximity to Champaign with Allerton Park and all those things over there. But Sheriff Vogelsang mentioned like tracking criminals who had either fled. Have you encountered that much?
We did not with our drone. Before we got our drone, about a year and a half before that, we had a stolen vehicle that when we were following it, they went into a ditch, jumped out, and went into a cornfield. And we utilized McLean County's drone to help locate those individuals. But yeah, that is definitely something that we can use it for. We've had some incidents in the past where it would have been great to do that. We have not had that particular situation since we've had our drone. Now, the thing I like too about ours, and our drone pilots went down to the training center in Decatur, and they got it set up there where we actually use our small drone to go in and search rooms.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that.
They're able
Yeah,
to push the door open and things like that. So it's a great piece of it's a great tool to have in our toolkit.
Very good. Well, Sheriff, always good to talk to you. Thanks for making time for us. DeWitt County Sheriff Mike Walker in studio. Network News on the way on the morning show.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, along with 92.3 FM Clinton and 106.